Hello everybody, it's Gill-boy here, and I thought we would hang out here at the Lagoon together and kind of nerd out and look at some more comic books. But these comic books are not going to be Fantastic Four or Thor or Batman or Predator. It's going to be, that's right, as you can see here, my Green Lantern collection toys. We're going to be looking at some of my rare Green Lantern comic books and hanging out and just discussing the Green Lantern Corps. So get you your drink and come on down and relax, and let's hang out at the Lagoon and look at some cool comic books.
Alright, so we're here in the nerd closet here, and we're going to be going through some of my comic books here. That's Soups. Let's pass them. Here we are. So here is the first appearance of Star Sapphire and Green Lantern issue 16 that came out in October. So we'll go ahead and get that one out. And then let's go ahead and get out this one, which is a very iconic Green Lantern comic book here, with it being Green Lantern issue 52 with the iconic Sinestro, one of Green Lantern's ultimate villains there. And then, since we've been looking at all the cool Batman stuff, let's go ahead and get out these two comics here. And this one is the iconic Neil Adams run of Green Lantern, which is amazing. If you haven't read this run, I highly recommend it. So glad I have this on my collection. Unfortunately, I didn't have this in time when I met Neil Adams to have him sign it. And I was like, well, I got it, so next time he comes to the con, I'll have him sign it. And unfortunately, he passed. And then we have this other iconic Green Lantern cover. As you can see here, Hal's going through a bit. You know, he's kind of infected with the parallax entity. So anyways, let's kind of come on down and sit down and look at these cool comics. Alrighty, so we got it all opened up and about ready to look at it. I just want to take a moment here to say that I got this at a Comic-Con with the wife a long time ago. And I really do like the Pink Lantern Corps, otherwise known as the Star Sapphires. I think it's a really cool creative idea. And this is a very, very old comic book. This is from 1962. So I should be wearing the Gill gloves, but I think we'll be okay. But yeah, this is the first appearance of what became Star Sapphire, and a very awesome, iconic character. And I'll show you the more modern version of what she looks like here in a moment, because I have the action figure. But let's just take a moment to appreciate this old school art. I don't want to defeat Green Lantern, but I must. The Secret Life of Star Sapphire. So those who are fans of Green Lantern will know that this is the Star Sapphire is Green Lantern's girlfriend. And they end up, you know, getting into it and fighting, and it's pretty cool. I've always been a really good fan, a great fan, excuse me, of Green Lantern. I always liked the idea that he was in the Air Force and all the cool UFO alien stuff. And I like this idea that there's some kind of police force that guards certain sectors of space from evil aliens and stuff like that. And then you get the Starfires, who, you know, at the time, the lore wasn't as fleshed out in the 60s and 70s as it has been now. But with each color representing an emotion, an emotional spectrum. So pink being love, and they kind of refine it to where, you know, love can be good, but it can also be overbearing and cause, you know, you to make bad decisions or sometimes good decisions. And that's a really fun thing that they play with in later adaptations of the Star Sapphires. And then, of course, Green Lantern, you know, is the willpower, you know, your will overcoming things and all that kind of cool stuff. And here we get it, the first time they encounter each other. And I just love, you know, great guardians. I suddenly got the feeling this is not a game but a threat. I'll have to put off my search for Carol while I deal with this extraordinary, menacing female. Okay, I'd have to say, I understand it's a goofy comic book, but if my girlfriend dressed up in this costume, I would immediately recognize it's her. You know why? Because she's my girlfriend. I love her. I know her energy. I know her presence. I know that. But, you know, let's go ahead and have a fun disbelief system. You know, it is what it is. It's a fun. And then you get that iconic little thing. And it's just fun, you know. A little lighthearted 60s, 60 cheese, you know. 60 cheese. And it's just fun. And yeah, that's right. I've caged my fine bird now for a good look at Star Sapphire. Free? How? It's like, bro, you don't realize your own woman? No, because she's wearing a thin layered mask. It's kind of, you know, as funny as the Superman thing is, where no one knows Clark Kent's Superman because he's wearing glasses, and later on they're like, well, he hunches over and he speaks in a different octane on his voice. And it's like, okay, all right, bro, whatever, you know, I can have fun and you know, suspending disbelief. You know, it is a comic book after all. But I like how they handle it later on and make it a little more serious. And then here's kind of like the origin of Green Lantern with Alan Sur crashing and Hal Jordan finding him and getting the Green Lantern's ring and all that stuff. You know, I'd have to say, I'm sure all of you know by now that Batman is my favorite superhero, but I'd have to say my second favorite would be Green Lantern. I just think it's really cool. And what I think is awesome about Green Lantern is, like, you know, anyone can really become Green Lantern. It's all about how strong your willpower is, all that stuff. And he's always just used to have really great, you know, patriotic messages and how, you know, stand up for what's right, all that kind of fun stuff. So that's pretty much it for this issue. Let me bag and board it again, and then we'll look at another iconic Green Lantern issue. But first, before we do that, I promised to show you the kind of current Star Sapphire look, and so there it is. And this is a part of the Blackest Nights, I believe it, yeah, Series 3 collection that they have here of the toys. Let's go ahead, take this off the wall. And I have all of them except for Black Lantern Aquaman. But yeah, it's part of my collection there, and yes, I have the Larfleeze, but that's for its own video, of course. Now we're gonna take a look at the Sinestro Corps, but of course we won't be introduced to Crib until much later on. So let's go back in the time and check out 60s Green Lantern. So here it is. You got the iconic issue 52 with Hal Jordan Green Lantern going up against Sinestro and his Sinestro Corps, the Sinister Sinestro. So this is also kind of the same time period. This came out in April of 1967, and there we have the original Green Lantern alongside the more modern Green Lantern. Now, this is a great issue. Anything with Sinestro, you're going to have a great time. If you don't know who Sinestro is, he's basically Green Lantern's Joker, and I'm really looking forward to finally seeing him done properly in live action. Of course, we can't really talk about Green Lantern without talking about the Ryan Reynolds film. I will have to say that film is a guilty pleasure of mine. I will 100% acknowledge that it's absolutely terrible. But I like Green Lantern, and I thought it was fun to watch. But the problem that film had is you started with Parallax. Like, that's not a villain that you start with. That's like you save that villain for either your third movie or your fourth, if not fifth or sixth film. You have to build yourself up to Parallax. Because that's what makes him scary, is that, oh, it's this entity that's inside the yellow light, because within the lore, each light spectrum, you know, green, indigo, blue, red, pink, and orange, and yellow, they all have an avatar or an entity that represents that spectrum, and that's Parallax. And, you know, you can't just, you know, start out guns blazing with your villains there. You gotta start slow. I would have oh, just look at this panel, man. It's so cool. You know, the all school art, man. It's so beautiful, man. I love these old school comics. And there we go, finally, Sinestro. I love it, man. The car is demolished, but look, Who are you? What? You don't recognize me? It's true. I gained weight on my energy diet. And the amber in which Green Lantern had imprisoned me, and so I'm somewhat bigger than before. Still, I think you'd know at once that I am Sinestro, Green Lantern's mortal enemy. Editor's note: the renegade Green Lantern who has always stood in these pages is the very personification of evil, Sinestro. So yeah, I mean, you definitely don't want to start with Sinestro being your first villain, because that's what kind of, he was like mentored Hal Jordan, he mentored, Green Lantern, and then he ends up becoming this villain, and so it's very shocking and heartbreaking, and such a cool dynamic that Sinestro and Hal Jordan have with each other. And it's a shame that they just decided to go ahead and just ruin that movie before it came out. And then you'll even know that in that film they kind of hinted at, Carol Danvers over here being Starfire. That was her code name. So, I mean, it was done with some love, but yeah, that was an awful script. Definitely should have had some actual fans that care about the lore give their two thoughts on that. But yeah, look at all these old-timey ads in these comics, man. It's just so great. But I believe, I was about to say, I think there's a little bit more. Yeah, Sinestro fighting. I mean, it's just, this is an iconic key issue. It's really cool. And I have to say, I love the more I love the more modern Green Lantern stuff for sure, but nothing really beats this kind of campy 60s, Green Lantern. I mean, it's just so much fun, man. I mean, if you're just trying to have a good time and, this is where I would recommend you go. And then, of course, with like more modern Green Lantern stuff, it's definitely got some of the coolest lore if you're into like cosmic horror and all that. The Sinestro Corps run, I would definitely adapt into a film, but like I said, that would either be part 3 or part 4, or, so that's something that you would want to do there. All right, so let's go ahead and leave the 60s and head on into the 70s, 80s with our Neal Adams Green Lantern and Green Arrow comic. All right, so here we are. We've got the iconic Green Lantern co-starring Green Arrow issue number 76. In brightest day and blackest night, no evil shall escape my sight. Never again. Like, what? Green Arrow shooting the Green Lantern's Green Lantern? What's going on here? So yeah, we're in 1970 of April here, and Green Lantern, no evil shall escape my sight. So, of course, already, just look at how amazing that first panel is, right? We got the great Neal Adams over here coming to save the day. Like, I'm telling you, man, anything Neal Adams, even if you don't know anything about whatever hero book you're reading and Neal Adams is involved, you're going to have a great time. Like, he's so cinematic. Like, you can tell he sees three-dimensionally. I wish he was still here. I would love for him to have drawn the Batman script I'm working on, but but just look how it looks, just great. It's just so cool, man. I love it. I love it so much. And I have to tell you what, man, I think what's his name who played Elvis Presley in that movie. Dang, I can't. His name's escaping me. Ashton, whatever. He would make a great Ashton Butler. Yeah, he would make a great Green Arrow. I think he would. And then, yeah, here we get a little political here in our Green Lantern comic book here. Yeah, that's right. You fucking jive turkey motherfucker. Yeah. So, great art. This kind of run is basically Hal Jordan and Green Arrow kind of taking down the mob. And kind of, this is when Green Lantern kind of, if I'm not mistaken, maybe I'm wrong, but I think this is like right before he gets infected with the Parallax serum. Or right after. I think it's before. Yeah, I think it's before, because that's all like the 90s run. But this is kind of when you're starting to notice that Hal Jordan is kind of like acting a little weird, But just look at how cool. You could tell, like, this is Neil Adams, but, like, Jack Kirby has just influenced comics from the beginning of, you know, comics, basically. You know, Stan Lee and Jack Kirby are Marvel, and you can just still see the influence here. And Neil Adams, you know, is a legend in his own right. Don't hear what I'm not saying. I'm just saying, like, you can tell, like, it's just so beautiful. It's just so beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. But yeah, it's basically them confronting, like, you know, rich assholes, you know, fuck the 1%, that kind of stuff, you know. Neil Adams is definitely very much more left-leaning, so those are definitely going to be kind of more the politics of these comics. And Green Arrow has always been kind of like that 1%er who was a leftist. So it's kind of, he's an interesting character. It's kind of a fun dynamic you get there. And I just love this, how it's like the construct is a chair and they're like flying around. It's just so great. But yeah, this is a great series. It's a great run. This is very much key issue. So if you're looking to start collecting Green Lantern and you just want to have some like iconic ones, pretty much all the ones in this video is where I would start. And of course there's you know, a lot of good stuff, but yeah, so you can see it's just very introspective here with this panel. On the streets of Memphis, a good black man died, and in Los Angeles, a good white man fell. Something is wrong, something is killing us all. Some hideous moral cancer is rotting our very souls. And, you know, I will have to confess, I feel like this series is a little preachy, a little too much for my liking, but it is a part of history and American pop culture. And this is whenever the comic code is, you know, kind of being lifted, so they're able to kind of talk about a little bit more adult themes in these comics than before. And as you can see, it's got the approval of the comic code. So, you know, this is also, I've talked about this in my Batman videos, you know, this is whenever Batman was able to kind of become like Hammer Dracula with the gothic aesthetic. You know, this is when Batman became really horrifying, like a horror character. And this is when Green Lantern started fighting his more evil space tentacle monsters coming down to Earth, facing the you know, civil rights movement at the time and all that good stuff. And then, you know, we eventually get John Stewart as Green Lantern, and then of course that would spiral on to, you know, Guy Gardner, and then Kyle Rayner, and then all the ones that we have today, to where honestly I feel like Green Lantern as it is now has kind of lost touch, or it's lost its sector way, to use nerdy language, on what it is trying to be. You know, that is one of the cool things about Green Lantern, is like anyone can be a Green Lantern, but at the same time, if I'm going to pick up a Green Lantern comic and it's not Hal Jordan, it's not John Stewart, it's not Guy Gardner, it's not the one, you know, that we're familiar with, I don't really care. But I understand that, you know, you want to create a different Green Lantern for different audiences, because you could argue the same thing was said back in the day. But I just know for me personally, modern comics just don't really do it for me. I mean, they don't have this art that's great. You pay nearly $8 and you get like you open up the panels, like even when I was reviewing that Absolute Batman, you saw that one panel, there's just nothing there, and it was just Batman standing there with a white background. Look at that, none of that is in this. None of that is in this. And even if it is a close-up, you can tell it's just to be like a close-up shot, you know what I mean? And there's detail on the can, you know. So I'm just saying, like, to me, maybe I'm an old man shouting out the clouds, chat, but for me, they don't make comic books like this anymore. All right, so we're going to look at one more, and then we'll kind of look at one more other cool thing I have, because I really want to nerd out with you guys on Green Lantern. All right, we're jumping through time and space here, and I believe we're in the 90s during the Emerald Twilight run, and this is part 2 of Emerald Twilight, Green Lantern issue 49. So as you can see he's definitely infected with the Parallax entity, because he's got the kind of gray hair, and I believe this is 1994 in February, so I was 4 years old when this came out. Wow, how the time flies. So yeah, great series here, and oh sorry about that. Yeah, so we get to have all, this is like most of the time, Green Lantern takes place in space. Yeah, he's on Earth, because he's to guard the sector, and that's where the planet he lives. But when we start getting into like the 80s, like late 70s, early 80s, 90s, most of this stuff is taking place in space, and so it's really cool. And I know James Gunn is going to give us a Green Lantern show, and it's going to be kind of like a buddy cop show with John Stewart and Hal Jordan, two of the best Green Lanterns. Although I have to say I would take Guy Gardner over John Stewart. It's just because I like how much of an asshole Guy is. I think it's just funny that this guy, I mean, he's got such great willpower, but he's such a dick about it. And this is what I'm really hoping we'll see in the Green Lantern show. I want to see the aliens, man. I really want to see the aliens. I really want to see Salak, but I don't think Salak's in this. And I want to see the squirrel. I forgot what the squirrel's name is. But it's just so much fun. There's so much. I guess the reason why I like Green Lantern is it's just so creative. It's so creative. You get to. It's kind of like if you've like when the first time you've ever seen Star Wars. It just gets weirder and weirder. And that's what it's like for me for reading Green Lantern. Is it's just like the contract designs that come out of the ring, the little aliens that they fight, all the planets that they do. It's just so cool, man. It really is. And it's just, this art too is so great too. Like, again, like I was talking about, like modern comics, look at all this. Like, it's just, everything's filled, the art is great, the line work's great, the coloring, like, it's just jumping out at you. Like, look at the little effects they have with the line work here. It's like it's bringing you into the rock smashing the character. It's just so cool, man. Like, it's just beautiful. Beautifully done. Beautifully done. And I really like the 90s, like Guardians. I love how they're drawn and all of this stuff. It's just so cool. And yeah, the greatness of Kilowog. I mean, come on, bro. That's a Green Lantern figure I need to get is Kilowog. And of course Sinestro. But a lot of those have gone up in price, unfortunately. And I don't think that they've made a Select toy. If they have, I'm going to have to definitely buy that when I get a little more income coming back in. But yeah, and I just love it. Like, he's got all the rings on. He's going to whoop some ass. And he's even beating Kilowog, man. Like, this is how you know. And it's pretty heartbreaking. But this is when Hal Jordan kind of basically, fell to the dark side, as they say. And then they had this epic run where after that happened, yeah, see, even Sinestro's coming back and is like, nah, bruh. Dun, dun, dun. So great issue. Great series. Issue 50, bro. That's when it all starts, when he really starts becoming Parallax. So you see what I'm saying, like with the Green Lantern movie, they just jumped and skipped that whole arc, and you can't really have Parallax without Parallax infecting Hal. It doesn't make sense. It's kind of like when Marvel brought in Adam Warlock in Guardians 3 after they already defeated Thanos. It's like, who cares kind of thing. But I guess if you don't read comic books, none of that really matters to you. But like if you are a fan, it's a little awkward. But in spite of all my James Gunn criticism, I'm hoping that he'll do justice with Green Lantern. I think if not, then he'll kill the character forever and we'll never get anything good. All right, so there's going to be 1 or 2 more things I want to show you guys pertaining to Green Lantern, and then you guys can hang out at the Lagoon, watch old videos, hang out with me on my live streams, or you can hang out with Melkor, who's an unhinged psychopath. So one sec. All right, so I wanted to discuss Green Lantern Rebirth here. So if you watch this video and you're like, you know what, Gills, kind of interested in some Green Lantern, where do I start? Well, I would recommend you just go ahead and start here. I'm sure you kind of guess the Green Lantern origin story, but Rebirth is a great place to start. Now this is after this comic that I showed you. He eventually becomes Parallax, and he becomes this right here. One sec. So yeah, this is basically when during the Emerald Twilight I just showed. So here's the trait of it. So if you really want to go and be a purist, maybe start here and go through and read this, and you basically see like the downfall of Hal Jordan, and it's pretty sad. And then, of course, after this run is when Hal Jordan becomes the Spectre, and it's kind of like the vengeance of God, and that's a really cool run if you like the more mystical supernatural side. I did a run where you read the 70s Neil Adams into this, into that, into what I was originally showing you with the Rebirth. So this is kind of where I started in Green Lantern, so I would recommend it. So if you had to ask me, Gill-boy, where should I start with Green Lantern? Well, obviously you probably should start here in the 60s, but I understand that a lot of it may be too kind of cheesy, but it's great time, man. It's great. Like this is where it all begins, you know, like Green Lantern issue 1 here. Let's see. I believe it was Showcase issue number 22 where Green Lantern had his first appearance. Yeah. So that's a comic book that I cannot wait to obtain one day. Hopefully I will. But yeah, this is where you would want to start. You would want to start here, honestly, just so you can kind of understand the backstory and lore. But you know, if you're not into that kind of like campy stuff, then just start here on Rebirth. And Rebirth is when he comes back from being Spectre. As you can see, there's Hal Jordan as Spectre, and you can see the parallax. Now the art in this, oh man, you know, it's Ethan Van Sciver, and I understand he's a controversial figure now, but one of my favorite comic book artists of all time. Look, he's a great artist, very great, and it's just amazing, man. It's just so amazing. Like all of his stuff is just perfect. He's perfect for horror. Ethan Van Sciver gave us Killer Shark, you know, that everybody seems to love now. But yeah, I would start with Rebirth and then go ahead and grab No Fear. And you got that badass Alex Ross cover here. And and Jeff Jones, you know, Jeff Jones really is the one that came, and Ethan Van Sciver came and restored Green Lantern to its former glory, because every once in a while DC gets a little out of touch and they forget, you know, what their characters are really about. And they make them villains or they make them stupid. You know, some people sit here and say, oh, I don't like DC superheroes because they're too perfect. Well, that's not the case. That's what happens when you take your hero and kind of make him into a villain. No one really kind of cares, and it kind of kills it all. But anyways, if you're looking to get into Green Lantern, I would check out, you know, these 3 volumes. But if you're looking to like actually like collect, you know, single issues, this is where I would start too, if you want to. And then of course, the Walls of Toys, and Blackest Night is worthy of its own video, and I plan to do that in the future. And then when the Green Lantern television show comes out, I will review each individual episode. Hopefully they will not have to be garage videos. But I guess this is it for this video, and I really appreciate you guys all coming and hanging out at the Lagoon. From now on, I think what I'll do is I'm going to upload comic book videos, comic reviews, just me talking about nerd stuff like this. Maybe every Saturday morning, Sunday morning, stuff like that. And then, you know, the Melkor videos will be on Monday, Melkor Mondays, the witching hour. And I got good news. I will be returning to Spooky Fam sometime next week to watch Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein, and of course the new Frankenstein 2025. So I look forward to seeing you all then. Make sure you like and subscribe and turn those bell notifications on, because I'm going to start having a lot more content coming out, and I can't wait to hang out with you all. And look out for my video game streams that'll be picking up momentarily. Until then, stay salty, stay spooky. Bye. Yeah.